I have with me today Marissa Hutchinson, who is in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Hi, Marissa. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Hi, Kobie. I'm happy to be here.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in Malaysia.
Okay, so I currently work with the International Global Self Organization, International Women's Rights Action Watch, Asia Pacific. So we focus specifically on human rights and women's rights, like trying to include women, especially living in the global south. So Africa, Asia broadly, the Pacific, the Caribbean, and Latin America in global spaces and global processes to negotiate for their rights, and also just to have a global South voice present within global North voices. So I'm a program officer currently with the organization. I run the portfolio for environmental justice, which is quite new to me, but it's been quite interesting over the past few months, and I'm really enjoying it thus far. Yeah.
Okay, great. And I know there's a whole 12-hour time difference. I really want to thank you for agreeing to this interview as well. You would have told me that Malaysia has been in lockdown since February and it is now
Yeah.
April. How has that entire process been for you, physically and mentally?
Uh, well, they started moving, like implementing the MCO, which is the Movement Control Order, from very late February, because there was knowledge of a secret religious gathering. So within that gathering, persons who had come to the event, like outside of Malaysia, like from Brunei and Myanmar and stuff, they had actually been infected. So that would have spread throughout the gathering. So then the health officials here and the government decided like it's time to lock down, because we did have it. We had cases from mid-January. So when I arrived, we didn't have cases, which is the 5th of January. But say from Chinese New Year, the 24th, 25th, the cases start to appear. And yeah, but then say about the 5th, 6th of March was basically full lockdown, people working from home. And then as time went by, they had to extend MCO. Uh, it hasn't been easy because, well, for me, I live by myself, an apartment by myself, so the isolation is difficult.
Mhm.
Some people, they have their families, but here, because of the cultural difference, whereas, they're Muslim, they're Chinese, they're different religions. People, like the government believes that, there's a leader of a household. So, like for some families, the leader of the household would be the male, compared to, we don't have these traditional family structures in the Caribbean per se. So even for me, it's kind of hard sometimes because like I have been in the supermarket and someone have congratulated me for being the leader of my household.
Mm.
It's really weird. And actually people ask you questions like, is there no one else that could come for groceries? Meaning like, isn't there a man who should be coming for these groceries? Like, why are you out? Um, Before they didn't have the military deployed, but within say the last 2 3 weeks, because from the religious gatherings, our numbers like were like between 350 and 380. So basically the Ministry of Health here and the government were like awaiting the 12 to 14 day period after the gathering, and after that, you can imagine like the numbers spiked.
Yeah.
So it went to like 421 in a day from 350. But after that, it just constantly rising. Sometimes you have like 200 numbers per cases per day. And it's still rising, but we think from the government here, they're doing a really good job with keeping people informed, also providing for persons, etc. And as you can imagine, the numbers have been rising constantly, but they're of the belief that the numbers will peak very soon and then fall and then level off. But the MCO is currently extended until the 14th of April. However, is likely to be extended again. You don't know how long, but then there are like, I guess, like complications with things like Ramadan. So again, as this is a multicultural country, they have their different celebrations, and there's kind of concern as to if persons will break the MCO just to attend the usual festivities. But what I can say is that the citizens, they're quite compliant of like legislation, and so far the MCO, there were just like a few cases where persons wanted to jog, so they would have broken MCO. But with the military in place, the military really stepped in, really stepped up, and like persons were fined. So like at this point, we're not having like cases or issues with persons like breaking MCOs.
What you just described is something totally different to what we would have seen on the last day before the curfew in Barbados, where it was mass
Yeah,
chaos and pandemonium, with people trying to get into the
yeah,
supermarket. And you mentioned that there was no need for any type of security. So, in terms now
yeah.
of one of the biggest concerns that citizens here have is being able to go to the supermarket. Now, the government would have indicated that they are looking at measures. Um,
Mhm.
how would you say that the measures in Malaysia, in terms of the one person in the head of the family going out, has that been successful? And would you recommend something similar for here?
Yeah, I recommend that, but also we have a service similar to Uber, which is called Grab, and that helps. But before I go to Grab, so again, there's like the leader of the household will go to the supermarket, which is the man, probably most in most cases. But for me, a single person living here, it's myself. But like even for driving in vehicles, one person can only be in that vehicle. And if there's more than one person, it can only be two, and it will only be in the e-hailing vehicles, the Grab vehicles, and they have an ID. So the government and well, the police officers and the military can see that. And if you're walking, you some people choose to walk, but they like check. They're like, where are you going? What are you going for? Or whatever. And like that's when you're going. And that makes they may see you have a shopping bag, etc. But when you're coming back too, they also check. Welcome. And I just hope that Barbadians see the need to stay inside. I don't think that it should have come to what it has come to just for you to stay at home, but just to see the importance of it. I also saw like videos and pictures where people aren't wearing masks. I mean, when it first started here, we weren't wearing masks. People were only advised to wear masks if they think they have symptoms or if they have colds otherwise. But within like the increase and what we have here is a website is specifically for COVID. You can track the cases, you can track the locations, like the territories it's in. And I mean, like, no one probably wants to just create a website for that, but it's valid. And we check it every day and it's very informative, very up to date. Like, even if Barbados could do that, but in terms of wearing masks, I think it's to a point now because saying that Barbados has 51 cases is like, okay, but Barbados population compared to Malaysia is quite small. So 51 cases for like a what 200 or 300 thousand population is a lot. Whereas we have our numbers are like let's call it 3,500, and our population is 30 million. So like that's a very small. I mean, no number is small, but it's a very small fraction for
For
us.
you, if the curfew is extended, what other ways do you plan on coping? I know you told me before you had a Zoom call with some friends, and so what are some of the other
Yeah.
ways that you plan on coping going forward?
What has been useful actually, as hard as it is working from home. So it kind of keeps you busy. Uh, you it isn't the same as working in office, but I know there are people who always work from home. But again, for us, from moving to office setting to working from home is hard, but that keeps you like active and productive. There's also like meditation and catching up with family and checking in, which also could be stressful, however. Um, but yeah, Netflix. Just being honest. Um, but most of all like keeping contact with keeping human contact. So as I said, we did like on Fridays normally we do it, but we decided to do it tonight. We just do like a when we normally hang out we call it gin and tonic. So we did like a gin and tonic night and we just talk and like see how everyone's week went or whatever. And also within our workplace we have like workplace buddies per week, so that also helps you to get closer to a person, but it also is great interaction. So like you check in on a person daily, especially in terms of having so many issues now with mental health. And I keep saying, I might had a conversation with my boss and she was like, what you're saying is so valuable. I'm like, what what is the world going to look like after this? Like how can we can't predict it. and no one has answers. And I think like a lot of people are going to come out with it with new mental health issues, heightened mental health issues, plenty germaphobes, like that's the reality of it. So it's like, how do we deal with this moving forward? Is a lot of what is on my mind. It is really wearing down on my anxiety, but it's the reality of it. And it's like, will we talk about this, or do we expect people to just go back to business as usual, right?
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so
So
much.
I'm really glad to give my insight um on COVID.
Thank you so much, Marissa, for joining us here today. And I do hope that you continue to stay safe and keep yourself occupied over in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Thank you. I hope you stay safe too.